So you have the oral groove right here, and at the end of the oral groove you have cytostome, cytopharynx, sometimes some textbooks call this. Food vacuoles are formed, and the unwanted material, waste material, get out by cytopage, another name for cytoprod. In the PowerPoints I gave you cytoprod. Here in this label, it's calling it cytopage. So that's how the solid waste material get out. This is how water gets out. This is how excess water by the contractile vacuoles, they enter. Here are a few ciliophora, something to enjoy. And here's another one, micronucleus, macronucleus, gullet, or oral groove. Another name for gullet is oral groove. Contractile vacuole. See, one is filling up, the other one just emptied out the water out. Food vacuoles, you have it inside. Chicocytes they are the base of, in biology one, maybe they talked about it, maybe not. They are the base of the cilia, which hold the cilia in place. It's called chicocytes, harpoons sometimes. Here is my drawing, which I did, and I had a good student. He came and did this for me. He is a pediatrician now, practicing in Los Angeles. The guy who did this for me. I was like this. Oh, how do you like that? This is artwork, right? And Dr. Shinozaki, he came. I don't know what his name. His brother became orthodontist. He himself became. Okay, so two paramecium come together right here. That's conjugation, and the slide you have in the lab. Then what happens? The micronucleus, the blue is micronucleus. The red is macronucleus. Okay, the blue micronucleus undergo meiosis. As you know from Bio 1, we have meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Is that right? You all know this from Bio 1. So what meiosis 1 happens, and then meiosis 2 happens. Now you have four micronucleus inside. You have 4 of them. What happens? The macronucleus disappears. It should appear in the next one. And what happens? The other 3 micronucleus disappear. So you're left with just one, the blue one, right? You're just left with 2 blue ones. And then the two blue ones undergo mitosis. So this one and that one are exactly alike. This one and that one are exactly alike, genetically. What happens, there's one of them becomes stationary and the other one moves, goes to the other one, they exchange and they become one, just like fertilization right here. And then this stage is called autogamy. The macronucleus reappears again. It disappears right here when the exchange of the micronucleus occurs. The 2 cells separate. Now the genetic material in the micronucleus is different than the parents. So they multiply by binary fission, which is mitosis, each one of these. So I said binary fission after they separated. This one undergo binary fission, and that one undergo binary fission. So my question is, why Mother Nature goes through all of this ordeal? Why do we multiply sexually? What is the advantage of that? Why?
Increases variation.
Very, very simple organisms. They're simpler than us. They're definitely simpler than earthworm. Why do you go through this ordeal to multiply sexually? This is a type of sexual reproduction.
Does it have genetic differences?
Yeah, to increase genetic variability. So this organism, if you would, this paramecium is genetically different than this one. And why is that? Why is it beneficial?
So it can deal with...
More survivability for the species.
Yeah, natural selection, that's what Darwin talked about. Okay, Darwin said, if a disease comes and destroy that guy, this guy genetically is different. He might survive. He might survive. And that's what it is. AIDS came, still is around, sorry. And it wiped out a lot of people. Am I making some sense? But Magic Johnson, you all know Magic Johnson, the great basketball player. He survived. He's genetically different than a lot of us. A lot of people survive of HIV, but not as famous as Magic Johnson. So that's pretty much the advantage of sexual reproduction. Genetic variability increases when everybody, and I will talk about this in evolution. In cheetah, the fastest animal on planet Earth, as far as moving on the Earth, is cheetah, and then there is not much genetic variability there. If a disease comes or a predator, nobody dares to prey on them. We'll talk about all of that. If something comes upon them, they can be wiped out easily because there is not much genetic variability there with cheetah. Okay, great. Today, this morning, people in the lab, they were a little bit puzzled as far as what needs to be said, what needs to do. This is a chart you should know. All of the organisms here we are talked about. Okay, and then one other thing you should to pay attention to it, these terminologies. Cosmopolitan, it means all over Earth, everywhere. Giardia is one. Entamoeba histolytica is one. Okay, they're all over the Earth. However, look at this one, Trypanosoma cruzi, Central and South America. It's not found in Africa. You should know that information for your exam. Essay question, so on and so forth. Trypanosoma brucei gambiense and rhodensiense. See, they didn't mention brucei, right? Is everybody know what I want? Because brucei is what? No. Brucei is what? Why is it not mentioned here?
It deals with that one.
Oh, very good. Somebody studying their notes. Very good. Because brucei is found in animals, not in human. Not listed there. So, right here. So, gambiense and rhodensiense in human in Africa. Okay, Leishmania widely distributed outside of North America and Europe. Yes, as I said, Leishmania is found in Africa and Asia. You won't find it in Western Hemisphere as much. Giardia, cosmopolitan. Trichomonas vaginalis, cosmopolitan. The amoeba ones, of course, they're saying amoeba. Entamoeba histolytica, why outside of Europe? I don't know, it's cosmopolitan. I don't like it, he's saying it's found in North America. It's found in, look up, CDC put two journals out. Do you remember the name CDC? Puts it out. Mortality and morbidity report. Mortality, look it up on CDC. You'll see it, it's in the United States. Plasmodium, usually in tropical. United States had problem with it too, but they eradicated in 1920s and 30s. In the United States, they worked very hard to get rid of it, and they got rid of it successfully. And then Toxoplasma gondii, that's what I'm going to talk about, cosmopolitan all over the world. And ciliated Balantidium coli, you remember, this is not the list of all of the diseases. You guys know what I'm talking about. This is just a few of them. And whatever disease that I mentioned, like Nuclearia fowleri, for example, or Acanthamoeba, whatever other organism I mentioned, you can ask me, Amir, where is it found? Most of the ones that I mentioned, which is not in this list, they are cosmopolitan. Acanthamoeba found all over. What else? Nuclearia fowleri, all over. Earth, cosmopolitan. They're cosmopolitan. If I mention something which is not in the list, then let's go ahead and let's talk about Toxoplasma. Malik is following Steve. I should do something. I should dance on the floor. Right? Toxoplasma gondii presentation. Good stuff, huh? So the name of the disease, while it's loading up, the name of the disease is called toxoplasmosis. That's the name of the disease. And then signs and symptoms, it can cause, right here, toxoplasmosis. The signs and symptoms are, they can, it can cause abortion, it can cause hydrocephaly, the child is born with enlarged brain, and so on and so forth. So, a little bit of background. Most organisms, like Leishmania, was found by scientists, and most of the organisms you're studying, malaria, for example, I didn't say it. What happened? The Roman soldiers used to go to remote area, not in Rome, but when they goes to Africa or Asia and they fight battles and they won, of course, proudly, they came back to Rome and they had these fevers, chills, and eventually some of them died. And you know, they said mal, and you know it means bad air, malaria, bad air. So the Roman soldiers were going to the area that was bad air, and they came back with the disease. They came back to Rome. I hope that's how the term malaria came about, bad air. They didn't know it was transmitted by mosquito and Plasmodium. They discovered it later on. They call it Plasmodium. But anyhow, most of the protozoa that we are discussing, they were discovered. The life cycle was discovered, I would say, last 200, 300 years top. Okay, but what happened with two scientists, Nicole and Mansous? First, they found this organism. They were looking for Leishmania, but they found it in the rodents that I will mention it. Do not worry about this snare, Pterodactylus gondii in lab rabbits and the rodents they found. But first discovered by these two scientists, Germany and British, and they call it toxo. It means arc, and I'll show you a picture and I'll say why is it arc, and plasma, it means form, body. And then parasitize nearly all mammals and many birds. That's what happened with Toxoplasma. It kills marsupials and wallabies. Okay, this is a parasite that other animals, other mammals survive. They get sick. I will talk about that. But marsupials and wallabies, they die. Again, we will talk about this when I get into evolution. This parasite was not established in Australia, and these are Australian organisms, and so if they're exposed to it, they will die. Okay? But anyhow, you and I are exposed to it, Toxoplasma gondii, we'll survive, we'll live, we'll see. Here is the Pterodactylus Tunisian rodents that they found first. This is pretty much the life cycle of this parasite. Cat, and remember, domestic cat, wild cat, any kind of cat is the final host, definitive host. It means sexual reproduction takes place in cat and cat only.
So even
no
like,
other organisms, not in dogs. Yes?
so even like a lion or a tiger?
Lion, tiger, very good. Jaguar, should I mention cheetah? Should I mention more, or that's enough?
That's it.
Okay, that's it.
So if all the cats were gotten rid of, then eventually this bacteria, this virus would die off.
All of the domestic cat and
If every cat ever is like
every
disappeared
cat
from
on
Mars.
planet Earth disappeared,
Which
then
isn't happening.
then all of the people, yes, it's possible. You gotta get rid of everybody who has it. It's maybe possible. Okay, so what happens? The cat defecates the oocyst in the feces, and what happens? These guys, I talked about them a little bit before. They can transmit on the feet. On the feet, the oocyst will attach, and they sit on farm animals' food, and farm animals eat them, and they become infected. Or what happens? Rodents, mice, rats, they accidentally ingest the oocyst, and cat, another healthy cat, eat these guys and become infected. That's how this is called a sylvatic cycle. When the cycle is in the wild, the life cycle of a parasite happens in the wild. It's called sylvatic. Sylvatic cycle. You will see it later on. So the life cycle of a parasite is happening in the wild. We human, of course, can ingest this accidentally, or we can ingest farm animals, products, meat, goat's milk, and we can become infected as well. We go gardening, and in the gardening, when you're gardening, you don't know a cat pooped there or not, so you inhale the oocyst from the gardening and you become infected. Here is the oocyst, right here in the cat feces. The rest is cat feces, and this is the oocyst. Now what happens if an animal or a person, a cat, whatever ingest this oocyst, of course this oocyst has to be environment between 1 to 4 days to become sporulated. You remember I wrote it on the board? When they are fresh out of cat feces, only have one nucleus, and they undergo sporogeny, becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. Now that 8 stays in the environment until somebody else or another animal ingests it. So when that animal or somebody ingests the sporulated oocyst, here they are, unsporulated oocyst, and this is sporulated oocyst. We have 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then when we ingest sporulated oocysts, what happens? They get out of this shell in the intestine of their host, and they multiply rapidly. And that's what Mansus and Nicole saw in Africa in 1908. They sacrificed the rodents, and they saw these little guys. They knew it's not Leishmania, so they call it toxo, bow and arrow, plasma, arc. Okay, and plasma means body. They call it Toxoplasma, and the name of the rodent they found it in, Gandhi, they call it Toxoplasma Gandhi. They simply could call it Nicole and Mansus CA, but they didn't call it that. They call it Toxoplasma Gandhi. So this, after you ingest, after an organism ingests the sporulated cyst, they go wacko inside of the body. They multiply and multiply and multiply. That's what they call them tachyzoids. Tachy means fast, rapid. Tachy. Have you heard of tachycardia? Somebody's heartbeat is very fast. Tachycardia. So they call this tachyzoid. Z-O-I-T-E. So what? So they're multiplying inside of their host very rapidly. But what happens? Most hosts, all animals, cow, sheep, goat, birds, they have immune system, which you studied, right? When immune system kicks in and slow down their multiplication, they cannot stop it. They slow it down. So these guys form a cyst. This is from brain of a mouse. We took this picture from the brain of a mouse. And that cyst is called, have you heard of somebody's brain is Brady? Brady means slow. Bradyzoid. These cysts are called bradyzoid cysts. And they are found in the muscle, they are found in the brain, they are found all over the body. They can be found all over. Okay? Do it make sense? And here is another bradyzoid. And this is again, I think it's a brain. Then life cycle again, one more time, let's revisit that, sorry. Let's revisit it. This is the cat, the slide is upside down, you can read it, you're intelligent. What happened, here's a cat, release the oocyst in the environment. The oocyst has to be in the environment between 1 to 4 days, has to be in litter box, inside of the house. Is that right? In the house you have a litter box. It has to be in the environment 1 to 4 days. If you grab a fresh oocyst from a cat feces and you ingest it, nothing will happen to you. You will not get it.
So only eat fresh cat meat.
That's good to know. And then it has to be in environment. And so from that arrow to here, it's supposed to say 1 to 4 days. 1 to 4 days. And then this, when it becomes sporulated, the farm animals can get it by ingesting it accidentally. The mosquito, the fly, attach to the legs of flies, sit on their food, and they ingest it. Or accidentally, cat's feces get contaminated with their feed. So they become infected. And then they have bradyzoids in their muscles. We humans eat their muscles, these animals' muscles we eat, right? Then, or cat eat leftovers when they butcher animals in the farms. The leftover meat goes to the cat, and cat eat it. So the cat become infected with it too. Not cooked. Not cooked. And what happens in case of human, the worst case scenario in case of human, when become infected with it, it can have a miscarriage. The baby can be miscarried. What happens with this parasite if a person ingests this, and then they will have cold signs and symptoms, like you have a flu. You have runny nose, you sneeze, you have a little bit of headache, fever. And I say, what do you have? I say, oh, I have a cold, I have a flu. And it goes away in a week. And you don't know you got Toxoplasma on you. That's true for both men and women. Both men and women. However, the story goes a little bit differently for women. If women who become pregnant, and during pregnancy they become infected with this parasite, then it can cause hydrocephalic child, hydrocephalic child, mentally retarded children. The child can be aborted or miscarriage occurs due to this parasite. Okay, but in case of men, not much happens. They get up after 6 days, they move on with their life. It is important that for women who become infected during pregnancy. So I mean, what do you mean now? If you mean if I become infected with Toxoplasma gondii now, today, for example, and next year I become pregnant, we'll have, what do you guys know? I'm speaking for you, not me. You guys, you think I become pregnant? No, I don't think I passed my test. I don't think I can become pregnant. But next year I'll become pregnant. Will it have an effect on my baby? Absolutely not. So Amir, can you have in the lab? Do you have some of it? Can I drink it? So next year I don't have to worry about it. That's what veterinary students came. You know, I went to Tennessee. I'm not a veterinarian, but vet students used to during Christmas break or summer break. Can we have some? No. I cannot have this. I cannot give it. I had live organisms of this in the lab in my hands. So if I was bad with the person, I could put it in drink or something.
We can get the.
Here's a life cycle again. So I'm putting in 3 life cycles for you guys. Here's a cat, and then of course we human go gardening. It can cause mentally retarded. Farm animals can eat it. Mice can eat it, and of course cat can eat mice, and then so on and so forth. Birds and so on and so forth. You already know that. So transmission, it is 3 ways: congenital, from mother to fetus. So a baby can get it. It passes the placenta. The second one, carnivorism, by eating raw meat. And the third one, fecal or oral, you go gardening and you don't know, a neighbor's cat walked by your home, and then you're doing gardening and these oocysts get into the air. The oocysts can stay in the environment for 6 months, not for a very long time, but 6 months. Pretty much after 6 months, they're not viable. They cannot cause any harm, damage. But up to 6 months, they can cause harm. Here's a child who was born immediately died. He didn't survive. He had a brain full of water. They call this condition hydrocephalic brain. Hydrocephalic brain. Yes.
So if it's stored in obviously animal muscle, and then does cooking the animal properly kill it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's just uncooked or prepared, the preparation has to be.
Yeah. In other countries too. I'm not saying I don't pick on the United States. A lot of times I pick on the United States because we live in the United States. But a lot of times when we go to steak, they say, how do you like your steak? It's a medium rare, right? So outside of it's cooked very well, but inside of still is juicy and nice, and that's the best part. So these guys, and I will go over them. Those bradyzoites, you remember bradyzoites? The bradyzoites in the muscle, right in the middle of the steak, they're not cooked. They're not cooked. And that's how. Okay, if this is not a true number anymore, this is from old days when I was in graduate school, but let's assume 30% of women are childbearing age, which everybody in this room is at childbearing age. In the United States, 30% of the women have antibody against Toxoplasma gondii. They have the antibody. It means what? They are positive, they have Toxoplasma, or they do not have Toxoplasma.
They had it.
They had it. So 30% of women, let's say in this room, have Toxoplasma gondii. I said 50% of us, all of us, based on studies in this room, have it. And we don't even know. Okay, so it came down with a cold, flu-like symptoms, and you got over it. You never go to a doctor, check me for Toxoplasma gondii. I had a flu last week. He said, you're crazy, get out of my head. Amir said so. He said, get out of my head. Okay, so let's say 30% of women have the antibody. Should they worry about Toxoplasma or not? Based on what you heard from me today. No? No, they should not worry about it. The other 70% of women who do not have it, they should worry. Am I making some sense? Are we putting God's fear in you or not?
Okay, we want to make a vaccine for it.
Yeah, there is no vaccine, unfortunately. But what happens if women know that they got Toxoplasma gondii during pregnancy? What happens in some rare cases, if a woman is pregnant, what you can do, again, you go to a doctor, you say, this time you can say, Amir said so. You know you want to become pregnant, you go to the doctor, check me for Toxoplasma gondii. And he says, oh, it's very rare. And you say, I just want to know if I have it or not. They check you, you're negative. Okay? And during pregnancy, you catch a cold. I say cold, a flu, right? Then you go say, hey, can you check me again? And he checks you, and you're positive. Am I making some sense? What should I do now? My baby is going to be aborted, or I will have miscarriage, or I will have mentally retarded child. What they do, they put you on clindamycin. It's an antibiotic. The doctors should not take a chance and put you on clindamycin. Okay, that's the name of the drug. Don't worry about the rest of this. Okay, so from mother or transplacental plant transmission, 45% toxoplasmosis. Of these 45%, so 50-50 chance. If during pregnancy, there are studies, there have been studies like done all over the world, not only in the United States. So there are studies that women who became pregnant and during pregnancy for the first time they became infected with Toxoplasma gondii. Am I making some sense? It's a 50-50 chance that the baby is going to be aborted or mentally retarded or hydrocephalic. 50% chance the baby is going to be healthy. Am I making some sense? I mean, all of you said that for 50%? Yeah. 45, actually. Okay? Out of those 45% who become infected during pregnancy and they have Toxoplasma gondii, 60% are subclinical. That is not much out of that 45%. That is not much of a problem. There's some subclinical problems. 9% will die, just like the picture I showed you. 30% will have hydrocephalus. They have are mentally retarded and mental retardation. Okay, so this will be aborted, and this is pretty much hydrocephalic, the cephalus that I showed you, and the child is going to be mentally retarded. Okay, so 30% of that 50%. I hope I'm making your math is not bothering you. Okay, the other thing, why vet students who came to the lab and said, Amir, can I have Toxoplasma gondii? This is Christmas break, we have 5 weeks off, and then I can drink it, have a flu for a week, I get over it with. I said, no, because number one, sometimes in some places, usually South America, this organism can travel and go to the eye and make the person blind. Okay, in the United States have not been shown, but this organism, Toxoplasma gondii, in other parts of the world, they can go and make the person blind. And that's one reason, because yes, you live in North America, but you never know, it might cause blindness. Okay, number two, you never know what life is going to bring you later on in life. You know, you might have you might get some kind of cancer, you have to take antidepressant drugs to depress your immune system. Okay, then Toxoplasma gondii will flourish. From bradyzoids in your brain, they go to tachyzoids. And then if you don't have a strong immune system, you remember talking about this. If you do not have a strong immune system, the bradyzoids break into tachyzoids, and of course they kill their host. Here is a list of, I showed it to you in the lab, a few organisms that can kill AIDS patients. Here is pretty much answering your question, Nick. There is no vaccine. There is no vaccine for any eukaryotic cell that I know. None. That is 100% efficient. Okay, none. All meats should be cooked at 70 Celsius. It comes up to 160 Fahrenheit. It's not much. But imagine that medium rare steak, medium rare steak you have in the middle of it. It's not that much. 158. I mean, I put 350 in the oven for everything I eat. Yeah, great. But remember, the steak inside of it does not get 70 Celsius, 158. Goat's milk and only goat's milk should be pasteurized. It does not show that cow's milk have it so far. Pork is the main cause of infection in the United States. That's what the research says. Amir, I don't know any pork products that I eat raw. I don't know either. There are not too many. As beef that usually people eat it raw, but I guess. Pregnant women should be careful. 80% of Parisians, people who live in Paris, have Toxoplasma gondii antibody. 80% in Paris. The rest of the world is 50%. There are so many cities. Treatment, the drug of choice, as I said, is clindamycin. Do not worry about the other one. Do not eliminate. You never, even you take drugs, you take antibiotics, clindamycin, you never get rid of it. You have it for life. Remember, a person who gets it has it for life. Okay, this is a scientific research they've done in Graz, Austria, not Australia. Austria is a European country. Once a pregnant woman was diagnosed with toxoplasmosis and received chemotherapy for the disease, transmission of the disease to the fetus was dropped to 0 in 1,000 births. Okay, they've done. As you know, I said during pregnancy you should take clindamycin, drug clindamycin. Then what happens? The baby's going to be normal, fine. These are don't worry about those. This is what we've done in Tennessee a little bit. I'll go over that. This is my blood right here. So what we've done, and this is my advisor's blood, my major professor in Tennessee blood. So and these are the people who, well, animals, the people's blood or animals' blood. What happens right here? Since I was negative, they used my blood as I was negative. They took their serum out, and then we added the antigen, which is dead Toxoplasma gondii. And then all of these on the bottom, you see those blue dots? All of these are dead Toxoplasma gondii on the bottom of the well. It's a well. Okay, this, my advisor, she said when she was a child, she came across Toxoplasma gondii, and she had a wonderful daughter, blonde, good looking and everything. But right here, so what happened, her antibody attached to Toxoplasma gondii, right here, right here, right here. The dead Toxoplasma gondii, her antibody. So it showed in the well like that, okay? Then this person was negative all across. This person was positive, just like my advisor. And this person was positive, that person was positive, that person was positive, that person was positive. So the only negative person was that. That's how we detected the animals who they submitted their blood samples to the lab. Told that which animal is positive, which animal could be simply done for a human, as you saw it for human. During my stay there in Tennessee for 4 years, they checked my blood every day. I was exposed to the right organisms, but I was negative, or I guess I was careful enough not to get myself contaminated. After that, I left Tennessee. I don't know if I'm Toxoplasma gondii. I got many colds since then, 1993. I got many colds in my life since then. And I don't know, I'm positive or negative right now. Okay. We gotta go find out. The cat, one other thing I should say about cat. Cat does not release the oocyst in the feces all their life. Okay, they only release the oocyst in the feces for 21 to 30 days. And then remember, based on what you learn, if you have a pregnant woman in the house, you can keep the cat. These are practical or not practical lecture or multiple choice questions. You can keep the cat. All you have to do, change the litter box every day. Remember, you cannot let that litter box, because the oocysts can become airborne. Okay? They can go to the air and ingest it. We can change the litter box. If it goes to the second day, then you can wear a mask and change the litter box. Okay? So these are some of the, I hope you study your notes and know what kind of recommendations you should give to a pregnant woman who is not infected with Toxoplasma. You guys, I'm done with the material for second exam. This is it. This is the end. And then Thursday, is that right? Thursday you present your paper, and in the lab, if you have any, here, I'm sorry, in the lecture, sorry. In the lecture, if you have any questions regarding this material, ask me. If not, I start lecturing on the next exam material, which is not going to be the exam on Tuesday of next week. Second exam, Tuesday.
You're going to go over the slides Thursday?
In the lab, yes, Thursday in the lab.
In the lab?
No, always. I can go here, so I do it once. Okay, have fun. And Thursday we have guest speakers right in the lab. There'll be two of them. I found another one who is a pharmacist from pharmacy school at UOP. He's coming, talking to us.
This has.
I don't know.